this is Victor Antonio with another Sales Influence Moment, doing a little webcast here for you. I get a lot of questions on, Victor, how do you motivate people to buy? And one of the things I always step back and say, well, are they ready to buy? And there's two types of buying situations, buying scenarios that I want to talk to you about because I think they're important, whether it's a simple sale or a complex sale. Understanding the motivation in these two states will help you determine how best to approach the customer. Let me explain. Now, let's look at frustration over time. When a customer is looking to buy something, there's two types of buying modes that they're in. One is that they're frustrated but not willing to make a purchase. Okay, that's state number one, let's say. The second state they may be in is that something finally happens, something breaks, and next thing you know, they're ready to buy. So being an engineer, let me just graph this out for you techies out there because this is kind of how I see it. So for example, we have frustration versus time. And so typically, what you're going to have, and it may not be a linear function, but what happens is the buyer's frustration grows over time. And eventually it gets to some point, and I'll say that that point is somewhere up here, where they say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and buy something. But in most situations, when we're talking to a buyer, their frustration has grown, but not to the point where they're ready to buy. So they're stuck somewhere right there. That's called the complacency. I'm not happy with what I have, but I'm just not ready to make another buy decision. So what's our job? Our job as salespeople is to, one, create the discontent. How do you create discontent? By bringing up things that maybe they haven't thought about or where they could be losing money or missing an opportunity. So for example, if I'm talking to a customer and I'm saying, look, you need to buy my product, they go, why should I buy it? I mean, I'm not happy, but I'm just not ready to buy your product. And in my past videos, I've showed that if you can show a client how you can reduce their costs, increase their revenue, or third, avoid missed opportunities, then you can actually what? Motivate them to sell. Having said that, if we ask the right questions, then our goal really is to get them to the point where they become so dissatisfied with what they have that they finally begin to buy something. You with me so far? So our job here is to basically move the buyer into this range by asking questions, creating dissatisfaction. So that's one type of buyer. That's where we have to learn how to ask the right questions. The other type of buyer, these are the ones I love, is that they're happy with what they have. I'm not saying they're totally happy and there's zero frustration, but they're happy. But then something happens and bam, they have to buy. Okay? It's almost like a step function. They have to buy. Now, who are these people that have to buy? Let's say, for example, you want to buy a car. You haven't thought about buying a car. You're really happy with your car. Then one day that car breaks down. You say to yourself, that's it, I'm tired, I'm buying a new car because I don't trust my car anymore. Let's say you're selling a large system in a complex sale. The customer finally has a single point of failure or a major failure. And at that very moment, the client was okay with what they had. They realized there's a weakness in the system that they have. So guess what? There's a failure occurs. That triggered them to want to buy. See, these are called triggering events. This is called gradual buying process. Let's talk about the two now. In this situation, frustration grows over time. Okay, so this is where we come in and actually sell right here. We're trying to push the customer to get them to feel that sense of urgency so they'll buy. But there's also other situations where something triggers the buying mechanism. And in this case, everything's fine or okay, and then something happens, a critical failure, something goes wrong, they have to buy. Now, what's important about these two states is that you need to understand when you're talking to a customer who you're talking to. Are you talking to a person who's growing frustrated with their solution, or are you talking to somebody who's experienced some type of failure and needs to buy right now? Because either state will determine, if you identify it quickly and upfront, you'll know how to sell. If you're talking to this type of buyer, you know that you need to push them further up the scale here to get them to buy. If you're selling to this type of buyer where a single point of failure happened, what's good about this right here and understanding this trigger is that if you understand what the trigger is, what triggered this, I got to buy something now, you can sell to that. So for example, let's go back to the car situation. If their car broke down, instead of telling them on the features and benefits of a car, you can talk about maintenance, reliability, and all the things that will make them feel secure about buying a new car. If it's a system failure, instead of selling them on the bells and whistles of all the things the system can do, talk to them about reliability, Six Sigma, the 5 nines. Everything that has to do with reliability is what the customer wants to hear. So that's your sales angle. So all I want to do is summarize in this video is that there's two types of buyer. One that has gradual frustration, and then one that actually had a single point of failure, something happened, and they have to buy. Two states of mind, two different sales approaches. This is Victor Antonio with another Sales Influence Moment reminding you, selling ain't hard when you understand who you're selling to and when you know how. Take care.